Good evening. It is Monday, May 4th, 2020, Kearney Board of Aldermen meeting. Call the meeting to order. Shirley, have you had a chance to take roll?
I have taken roll. Everybody is present and you have a quorum.
Thank you, Shirley. Board will move to the consent agenda. We have the previous minutes, the warrant bills list presented for payment, and the budget amend carryover for Diamond Computer contract on the consent agenda this evening. Are there any discussions or changes for the consent agenda?
Mayor, I have one change in the minutes from April 20th board meeting concerning the 30-foot setback. The last sentence in that suggested that I had said something about I'd have no problem with it. And I didn't say that, and I actually went back and watched the YouTube video to verify that I hadn't said that. So I'd like that sentence struck from the record.
All right, board, can we entertain a motion to, first of all, are there any other questions for discussion on the consent agenda? If not, if we can entertain a motion to pass with a correction to the minutes per Alderwoman Barter.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor, roll call, Jim?
Alderman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Holt.
Aye.
Alderman Steiner.
She's on mute.
But she did say aye.
Muted. Aye.
And Alderman Barger.
Aye.
Vote is unanimous, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, board. Next, we'll move on to mayor's remarks. Really just wanted to give a quick update on the COVID-19, the coronavirus pandemic, and really not a lot really to update that I don't feel that we already don't know. But as we know, the new health directive is in effect as of today. Our stay-at-home order did expire yesterday. There are must-do tasks and phrases that are going to move out throughout the pandemic. Throughout the new order. It will be a phased step-by-step order that will be determined as new information is gathered. So just once again, I'm proud of our city. I'm proud of the staff and everybody working together to get through this together. And when you follow the directions and orders, it allows us to stay healthy. So that concludes my mayor's remarks and the update on the COVID-19 pandemic. We'll move on to the administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have been in consultation with our neighbors. Our city managers folks have been talking about actions that they're taking, and we'd like to recommend a similar action what our neighbors are doing, which is continuing the separation of staff, splitting the staff duties, recommending that we continue to keep City Hall lobby closed through May and employ work-home solutions and refine them as best as we can. I can tell you that I am now using a VPN connection with the laptop, and I can do everything at work or at home that I've been able to do at work, except meet with people in person. And that has not been an issue at all during this time. Our citizens are well informed. They're not coming to the door. They're not wondering why things are the way they are. And we've not had any situation that we couldn't immediately deal with. And mostly it's always in good humor, or certainly it ends with good understanding and appreciation. And so I don't think it's a burden to our community to continue it that way. In my report, I'm hoping that we can have some discussion, because that means that that the May the 18th meeting would also be electronically held. We can't see, and you help me with this. I don't see any way that the board can practice safe social distancing at the council table. If we're sitting within 6 feet of each other and we're not wearing masks, we're in violation of the rules. And I don't think any of us want to, I think playing by the rules is what we want to do as best as possible. And I know that we have a Greenfield public hearing that involves lots of folks at the vulnerable ages, including many that are over 70 years old that will want to weigh in on it. And I think we need to reach out to those folks and encourage them to find ways to either be represented or give us written comments, or something other than, I was talking before the meeting here with Shirley Zimmerman about, well, maybe, even in my notes in my agenda packet says something about, well, maybe I can have the boardroom open to limit to a few. Well, which few is going to decide to come to City Hall and which few is not going to come to decide to City Hall? It's almost like, well, we almost need to have reservations for those people who absolutely have no other way. So maybe we can reach out to the known folks who participated or we've had quite a number that have contacted us, and we can at least talk to those individuals and see if they want to make a testimony to you in that public hearing. Encourage them to use the Zoom sign up, and I think they would find that perfectly suitable. And if they can't, then I could work with individuals on a reservation basis. But to leave the door open, wondering who's coming, I think will be problematic. So you guys think about that, and I'll talk with you individually, or if you want to interrupt me and talk now, we can.
Jim, I'd like to make the comment. I think it would behoove us to move forward with the public hearings that are as scheduled that have already been delayed due to the pandemic. I think Zoom electronically is a good way to do that, and I know not everybody has a camera on a computer or a computer for that matter. However, if you have a telephone, you can join Zoom and you can call in and not have to be seen over video. So if our residents are capable or able to make a phone call, they would still have the opportunity to have their voices heard live, or as you mentioned, through written correspondence for the record. So it would be my opinion that we would push forward with the delayed public hearings for both the Greenfield project and the Fun Farm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would also like to move on, and we've received word from the Clay County Administrative Care staff that, the Clay County Administrative staff, that the CARES Act funding that was approved by the County Commission on a 2-to-1 vote last Friday has been possibly put on hold, or as the Commissioner Nolte has declined to sign it without caveats. Don't know how that is all going to play out. But I enclosed in the agenda packet that we would be the recipients, custodians, so to speak, of $964,000 in funds. And I say custodians because we would need to share that with our other local government entity partners, especially the fire district, possibly even the school district, and possibly some mechanism that might be able to share those funds back to private business again, although that is not none of that's mandatory. And I can simply tell you when we were talking about this, the county administrative staff had approached all of the municipalities in the county and got them involved in that. And we'd heard some discussions about, from Excelsior Springs started it when they said, well, we'd like to do a revolving fund loan program because we have one set up through our Main Street programs. They set up a downtown CID. And so they've got some not-for-profit corporation. I don't think it's the CID, but they have a not-for-profit corporation that they might be able to utilize to separate the municipal government from a loan process. So there's no, the government's not picking winners or losers. It's done by a third-party administrator kind of a thing. And I really like that. And I don't know how all this is going to come about, or if the funding is going to actually stay on track the way it was proposed. But we're sharing with you, let you know that that's coming about. At this point, the city's only spent about, less than $5,000 on work from home solutions. Most of our laptops are around $300 each. We bought seven of them. So that's $2,100 and probably no more than another $1,000. So I probably got less than $3,000 in direct expense related to this. I think the chief has spent way less than $1,000 on PPE, which is another thing brings me up on this $964,000. We can only spend it on things that are caused by COVID, such as overtime or additional personnel that would be doing new functions, not the current budgetary functions, and it would not be allowed to be used to cover budget shortfalls if we have operational revenue drops. So just don't know about all this. It sounds like a lot of money, but we don't know what's going to happen. If our police department gets infected, we could have to contract with a whole nother police department to come in and step in and take their place. Well, that would eat up money fast. And is that unusual? No. What was 8 or 9 firemen in our metro area came down with it all at the same time. That could happen. So, anyway, it's a fund of money that we think, even if the county retains custody of it, they will, I know, support trying to give it out. I think Commissioner Nolte's email that he sent out today kind of emphasizes that he's just not for doing what's being done by the other 2 commissioners, and that's pretty normal. So we'll see how that goes. But essentially, that kind of concludes my report. If you guys want to ask me any more questions about the May 18th meeting, but I think we've got a plan that we can communicate with the people we know about and let them know and try to offer solutions to them.
This is Marie, and I have one question, Mayor, on what Jim just shared, and it's on the CARES funds, the $964,000. I know they said we had to return money we didn't spend, but do we have a time frame that the money has to be spent?
Yes, through the end of this year. So the good news is to where currently we've been fortunate enough to receive donations for a lot of PPE and supplies through corporations and individuals like community. If for some reason there is a second phase as they anticipate in the fall, or another issue where we have a lot of possible exposure or expense, then we'll have that funding available through the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
So that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor. And
Jim, I believe under the administrative report, we have Mr. Todd Goffey joining us today.
Thank you. At the recommendation of Mayor Pogue, we have invited Todd Goffey of Piper Sandler to participate in this evening's meeting to explain his review and analysis of the city's debt and explain his recommendation to proceed with a financing, or sometimes called refunding, of the city's 2013 COP certificates of participation, which is lease purchase financing that was done to construct the sewer plant clarifiers. And he will explain the interest savings, justify the expense of the refinancing, and those savings will be used to lower the city's cost of future debt. There is a resolution that would authorize us to enter into contract with Piper Sandler as a financial advisor to proceed if the board deems necessary. So, Mr. Todd Goffey, if you'd like to turn on, you're on, aren't you?
I am, yes.
Okay, take over.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Good to see you all tonight.
Good to see you also.
So I believe in your board packet, Jim included what I call a debt map, which is really just a high-level overview of the different outstanding obligations which the city has in place. Mm-hmm. And it helps us track some of the larger issues like interest rates, call dates, principal amounts, payment dates, those types of things. And so in going through that is really what allowed us to identify this opportunity for the 2013 certificates of participation. And so those, the call date just came upon us on April 1st. And so they're currently callable. And the amount that's outstanding is $3.2 million. Those, as you can imagine, back in 2013, when interest rates were higher, had a higher coupon rate that averaged a little over 3.5%. In fact, I think some of the bonds that mature out in 2026 have a 4% coupon rate. So certainly fine at the time, but in today's market, those are pretty high interest rates. So what we've, with Jim's help and the mayor's questions, what we've identified is that if we issued refunding or refinancing certificates in the current market environment, we think we can lower that rate down to probably 1.5, 1.7%. So you can see how that would generate some meaningful savings. So as of now, our estimates are that between now and the final maturity in 2026, that we're looking at about $173,000 of savings. And then, as you've heard me speak about before in the past, we always take that revenue stream that happens over time and we come up with a net present value benefit. And so on with what Jim's put up there, you can see the next to last column, annual savings. You can see with using a uniform saving structure, once we get past this first period, which is kind of a short period, you know, roughly you'd be looking at $27,000, $28,000 a year of savings each year, all the way through 2026. So certainly a meaningful level of savings. It's something we think makes sense to move forward with. And as we've done in the past, this would be, we'd go through a rating process and set up a time probably in June to do a competitive sale of the certificates that provides everybody an opportunity to submit a response. So it's a very transparent process that we use. If the market reverted back to what it did back in March, when it got very choppy and it was a challenge to even get something done, we would try to identify that for you, ahead of time. And if we needed to cancel the sale or take a different path, we would be ready to make those recommendations to you. And I guess ultimately, if we got to the day of the sale, we didn't like the results, you always have the ability just to cancel the bid and not accept any. That's certainly within your right.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. Again, appreciate the partnership you and your firm continue to provide the city of Kearney. And board, as Todd said, it was really just an idea I had, taking advantage of our current market rates to essentially save interest costs for the city of Kearney. Do you have any specific questions for Todd?
I do, Mayor. Mr. Goffey, this is Dan Holt, and I'd like to ask about The fact that we're going to have less sales tax revenue coming in, is that going to change our, you said we had to get re-rating. Is that going to change our ratings at all for our bonds? That will certainly be a question on the analyst of how is the city dealing with COVID and what's the budget impact. And, you know, maybe next month as the 2-month lag begins, we'll maybe have a clearer answer on that. But that is a question that we'll get going through the rating process. And will that affect our rate? I mean, it could, but everybody's facing the same issues. And, you know, I think in this case, this is being paid out of sewer fees, isn't it, Jim, out of the sewer fund?
That is correct.
Yeah. So even though it's an annual appropriation of all city legally available city funds, what we would do is focus them on the operations of the water and sewer fund. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, we have a resolution enclosed in the agenda packet that I was going to share. And you'd like me to read the resolution by title?
Yes, there's no further questions or comments from the board. Please read by title only.
A resolution authorizing the city administrator to sign an agreement with Piper Sandler to provide financial services relative to the refunding of the Series 2013 certificates of participation. And
Make a motion.
Second it.
All right, Jim, take roll, please.
Alderman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Holt.
Aye.
Alderman Steiner.
Aye.
And Alderman Barger.
Aye.
The vote's unanimous, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Only one reading, correct, Jim?
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Todd, thank you as always. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Appreciate the invite.
Thank you.
All right. Does that conclude your report, Jim?
It does, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right. We have no public requests or petitions, no public hearings, no old business. We do have an item for new business 8A.
Mr. Mayor, enclosed in 8A is an electric easement being requested by Platte Clay Electric to install underground lines along I-35 across the I-35 water tower property. It's a part of their utility relocation plan for the I-35 interchange. And what they have overhead right now that goes across there, it needs to go underground. And that's part of their plan. So an ordinance has been included in the agenda packet. And if you'd like me to read by title.
Are there any questions or discussions from the board? If not, if you could read by title only.
An ordinance approving an electric utility easement along I-35 water tower property at 1306 South Watson Drive to Platte Clay Electric Cooperative.
Board, can we entertain a motion?
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All right, take roll, please.
Alderman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Holt.
Aye.
Alderman Steiner.
Aye.
Alderman Barger.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous on the first reading, Mr. Mayor. A second reading, shall I proceed?
By title only, please.
By title only. An ordinance approving an electric utility easement along I-35 on I-35 water tower property at 1306 South Watson Drive to Platte Clay Electric Cooperative.
So moved.
Second.
Take roll, please.
Alderman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Holt,
Aye.
Alderman Steiner,
Aye.
and Alderman Barker.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous, Mr. Mayor, and it is now an ordinance.
All right, thank you. We'll move on next to Alderman discussion. Alderman Spencer.
Nothing.
Okay, Alderman Holt.
I don't have anything this time either.
Man, write that down. All right, we'll go to Alderman Steiner.
Nothing, Mayor.
Oh my goodness, and Alderman Barker.
I'm gonna break this up here. I just wanted to remind everybody that the election that was rescheduled from April is June 2nd. And for anybody that wants to request a absentee ballot, the deadline is May 20th. So it's pretty simple to do that. And so I would just encourage everybody to participate, even in this weird time of COVID, and make sure that you either make it to the polls or ask for an absentee ballot so you can have your voice heard.
Good message. Thank you for that. All right, that concludes.
Hold on a second. Kathy, have you talked with the election board? How are they, or Marie, you might know this, you help out with the election board. How are they doing? Are they going to stagger people on this, or has there been any guidelines yet as to how voting is going to be done?
I talked with the Board of Election a couple of weeks ago, and Patty Lamb at this time, she didn't have anything specific, but they were making discussion as to what they were going to do. But at that time, she didn't have anything to share with me. And as you know, I can't work the election because I'm on the ballot.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah.
Yes. I was curious.
All right, if that concludes Alderman discussion, can we entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I second it.
Jim, take roll.
Okay, Alderman Spencer,
Aye.
Alderman Holt,
Aye.
Alderman Steiner,
Aye.
and Alderman Barker.
Aye.
Votes unanimous, and thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks everybody for a good meeting, and that concludes the meeting.
Good evening.
Good.
Good night.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
Yes.